I have the Texans at 11. A lot of it's Nico Collins comes back. I probably have the Texans in. I don't think they're quite the same team. Anything that jumps out at you with the top 10?
I'd have the Bengals in place of the Chargers. I think their ceiling's higher. Now, listen, I watched yesterday, and my only concern with yesterday's show is Justin Herbert going to put out a restraining order against you and his coach? My God. What a 5-minute love letter. The toughest player ever, the best kid in the history of the league. I mean, I get it. Seems like a nice enough fella. I think the Chargers, I would take the Bengals with higher upside than the Chargers. My other question to you is the Texans. I think that if they don't address the interior of their offensive line, CJ's going to get killed.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you can address that. That's the hardest thing to address at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys were smart, they would consider trading future Hall of Famer 34-year-old Zach Martin to a Texans team for a premium. But instead, they're buying at the absolute, paying 200 cents on the dollar for Mingo from the Panthers. The one question I have for you, how close were the Falcons, Colin? After the shaky start, they are kind of what I think you thought they could be from an offensive perspective. I think the Falcons have a case over the Packers maybe.
Yeah, here's my problem with the Falcons. They're a finesse team with no pass rush. The Chargers are a physical team with an excellent pass rush, and I don't think defense wins championships, and it won't even for the Chiefs. But you've got to be able to situationally make the other star quarterback uncomfortable. Atlanta
That's fair.
Never does. I want to ask you about this because I think we both believe in analytics. I think it can make baseball a bit more boring, and stylistically, I think it hurts basketball. But I think in football, unless you really go into the weeds, you don't really notice it. Mostly go for it once you cross midfield. The idea, and this is why I bang on defensive coaches. I'm on the road. I can win it now. I compared it to the Minnesota Golden Gophers being in Columbus. They can win the game with a 2-point conversion, and they go, "No, we want to face the Buckeyes in overtime." I was shocked Tampa didn't go for it.
Yeah. So I think everyone has this wrong. I actually think they did the right thing, and here's why. Because they wouldn't have won it right there. Say they get it. Okay, so now Mahomes needs 25 yards in 30 seconds with 3 timeouts, and they're going for it on 4th down. I didn't hate this. Week 1 Baltimore. Likely he doesn't score because his foot's out of bounds, but let's say he scores. That's the final play of the game. There, you have to go for 2. It's a no-brainer. You can end the game. But I thought whether Todd Bowles knew he was doing this or not, I actually thought it was smart because then you put Mahomes in a situation where they will punt on 4th and 1. They are not as desperate, and if you win the coin toss, you might be able to walk off. I just think 27 seconds, 3 timeouts with the new kickoff rule where you're going to get the ball at the 30. The Chiefs have the best kicker in the league. You don't think Mahomes was going to find a way to get the 25 yards he needed if they were trailing? I know people this morning are like, well, he didn't get it. They went to overtime. Yes, but they were tied. They punted the ball. If they were trailing, that doesn't happen. So I didn't hate this as much as everyone else. What I did think was a mistake, and Aikman nailed it, was calling the timeout when they got down to the 1. At that point, you really need, I think there you rush to the line, run another play, and then if you need to call your timeout, you call it. But either way, now you're inside 20 seconds. Inside 20 seconds, then maybe I'd go for 2. But with 27 seconds, 3 timeouts, I think had they gone for 2 and gotten it, the only difference is this morning we'd be talking about let me do the math here, 27-25 Chiefs win instead of a 30-24 Chiefs win.
So, we know you like Mahomes, but they've started 8-0.
I like greatness, as you would say.
Yes.
As you used to say with Tommy, I like greatness. I appreciate excellence. It's no personal affiliation, but go ahead.
So he's 8-0. He's never done that before. They're proving very Brady-like. They've just decided to pivot to a slow, methodical run game and just lean on you. That was Brady in New England. The Moss years, they'd throw over you. The Edelman-Gronk years, they'd death by 1,000 cuts. The great teams can beat you multiple. The Chicago Bulls did this. You could have a game when they hit threes. They could suffocate you defensively, or Michael could drop 50. The great teams can beat you multiple ways. It is interesting. If Mahomes won, and I would take them to win the title again. I just think situationally they beat Detroit. What is the line on Brady having a trophy room, Mahomes having about half, but winning 3 straight? And it's easy for everybody to say, well, he's going to take Mahomes. But when Brady surpassed Montana, stylistically, they were very similar players. So when Tom got another one more than Joe, we handed the baton over. But stylistically, nobody disputes Mahomes is crazy gifted physically. Where are we on the Brady-Mahomes thing if he wins a third?
So I already think he's the most talented quarterback ever. But that's not the conversation, right? The question is best, and 7-3, and as far as Super Bowls goes, Tom has 3 league MVPs, Patrick has 2. Tom, also, to be fair, they played twice in the playoffs, and Tom won both of those games. So I'm just trying to give a fair reading of the history. With all of that, and so right now, even if I think I would take Patrick over any quarterback ever, that's different than saying he is the greatest quarterback ever. Tom still owns that.
Yeah.
But if Patrick, in his first 7 years as a starter, pulls off the first ever three-peat in NFL history, has a Super Bowl with the second worst defense to ever win a Super Bowl from a regular season standpoint in 2019, has his worst season ever was an overtime loss in the conference championship game, has 5 Super Bowl appearances and 4 Super Bowl victories in 7 years, and post trading away the best receiver in football, he goes league MVP, Super Bowl champion, highest scoring team. Then the next year, set all the records for drops, has the toughest as far as strength of opposition record, playoff road to a Super Bowl ever, wins all those games on the road, and then this year makes it happen again. I think after this season, if you say he's the greatest football player to ever live, I don't need to wait until 7 rings. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
He certainly already has established the greatest start to a career of any athlete in the 3 major sports ever.
Yes.
That is a different list than Tom, but Patrick has rewritten that list. I just think, and as what you were saying about the Chiefs, if I may just for a moment, what makes them so great is they are truly a team. Last night was the worst the defense has played all year.
Yes.
So it was the best the offense has played.
That's right.
Against the Chargers, Rasheed gets injured. Mahomes gets rattled from it. They're down 10-0. The offense doesn't have it. So the defense says, all right, we'll pitch a shutout the rest of the way. Whatever unit doesn't have it, the other side picks it up. And people talking about Mahomes' numbers this year, I understand the overall numbers are bad. He is the best passer in the league in the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs have the second best third down conversion rate of any team in the last 15 years. When it matters, they're great across the board.
Yeah. So, I'm sitting there with Matt Eberflus, and I've tried to make it a habit not to call for people's job. But there are things I look for with coaches. Can I watch them, and do I know what they're trying to do? Are they getting better over time? So I watched Chicago off a bye against Washington. 7 possessions, 6 punts. That's like with Caleb and Keenan and DJ Moore. And then I watched this past weekend, no energy and no juice. And I think we're to a point, and I think this matters. Bo Nix is getting better. Even in the blowout, he's getting better. And Jaden looks great. So I'm watching.
Drake May's looked good the last couple of weeks.
Yes. I thought
to his credit.
Yep.
Drake May.
Yep. Yeah. I think it's time to make a move. Now, the downside to making a move is if you put an interim in and it works, Bad ownership falls for that every time. Good ownership doesn't.
Yeah.
Do you just stick with Eberflus and win 5 games? You think you should do that? Just
well, I don't know that you win 5 games, but I guess my point is Eberflus can't be the coach next year, but I wouldn't fire him today.
Okay.
But here's the other thing. No matter what they do the rest of the way, he can't come back. Because last year, it looked like they were going to move off him.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, they got a little thing going with Justin, and Poles, the GM there, felt like he owed it to him to bring him back. And in my opinion, it was a grievous error. They could have gotten Jim Harbaugh. Then Harbaugh would be on your show talking about what a great young man Caleb Williams is. Whole world's different. So if I'm the Chicago Bears, if I'm Ryan Poles, I go to the McCaskies and say, hey, I know this isn't really our history, but one time, can we have a blank check for a head coach? And can we get better while weakening the team to beat in our division? Let's go get Ben Johnson. Let's hurt Jared Goff and the Lions. Let's give Caleb a guy to pair with him for a decade. I understand it's risky because he's a first-time head coach, but the veteran head coaches out there, Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick, are defense guys.
Yeah.
And Belichick's timeline's very short anyway. And so you want to weaken the Lions. You want to make yourself better. So I just think if you're the Bears, this is a super attractive job. You have a lot of good young players. Your cap's in a good position. And I still think Caleb's going to be a superstar. You got to pair him with an offensive coach.
Yep.
So that's what I would do. So I wouldn't fire Eberflus yet, but I don't think he's coming back next year.
First things first. It's great seeing you as always, buddy. Say hi to Brew. Say hi to Wild. Great show. Appreciate it, man.
Of course, the facility was out here yesterday. When are you doing a little New York East Coast herd appearance? You're out here all the time.
We don't have that kind of budget. We are a shoestring budget.
Oh,
we don't.
I'll pay for the plane ticket. You just come on out. You and J-Mac hanging out. It'll be great.
I can't get him away from the beach. Good seeing you.
All right, see ya.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.